I think it's a human quality that some people are destined with their own determination.
I think that the player, compared to me, I think that they have much more responsibility.
I do think there's a responsibility within the game to prepare the lads for how hard it's going to be.
I started my investigation into academy football by finding out how the game's top managers get the best out of the young players. But only 9% of our academy players will ever play a professional game. Coming up in this episode, we find out how the best become the best.
You don't just get it handed to you, you're aware.
There has to be a fallback.
Chelsea Academy, that's all I've known.
Mentally, I think I've always been quite strong.
In the history of the game, almost 1,300 people have had the ultimate honour of wearing an England shirt. They climbed the mountain, made it to the very top. So what does that journey look like? The journey to become an elite footballer?
It's just what I love doing. It's the only thing that I loved growing up. There was no alternative for me.
You got the big break at the age of 6.
Yeah.
It's an extraordinary story.
It was just like a half-term camp that the academy was doing. They'd sent invites to a few schools in the community, and luckily it was one of my schools was one of them. As you can imagine, every hand in the class went up. So the only way to do it was to pick names out of a hat. Luckily, my name got pulled out.
What was it like being in the Liverpool Academy?
You get elite coaching, elite advice, elite nutrition, and it prepares you for going and being elite in a senior game. I think it teaches you a lot off the pitch as well rather than on. I think it instills, the discipline, the sacrifice, the hard work, everything that you need to go and achieve what you want. You don't just get it handed to you, you gotta work and earn it every single day. It's a level of competitiveness against some of your closest friends and the closest people that you have to kind of outwork them and be better than them, because you need to fight for your next contract and make it to the next step. I necessarily think that's a really good thing, because whether you do or don't make it, you're prepared for life itself, because you know what it takes, and you know that even to have the smallest chance, which is what we all have, the tiniest little chance to ever make it, you have to fight day in, day out. You've got more chance winning the lottery than making it as a professional footballer.
What was the pressure like for you, making that step up so young from the academy football to the first team?
There's nothing like it. The best under-21s game you can ever play in won't ever come close to a first-team training session. I was scared of making mistakes in simple passing drills, so that the pressure kind of rolled into added concentration in those
So it motivated
things.
you and sharpened you?
Yeah, it was like, okay, I'm passing to Jordan Henderson, the captain here. I've got to make sure this is a precise pass, there's no bobble on it, because the last thing I want to do is give him a bad ball. And the same goes for every single player. I was like, the respect I had for them was, okay, I need to be at your level. In the academy, you see players go and train with the first team once or twice and then they're back down. That was probably the biggest fear I had. And I always thought to myself, once I'm in and around the first team, I never want to go back. You want to be at a level where you represent yourself in the right light, you represent the academy and show that the level of player that can come from the academy. But you're also trying to leave an impression. I didn't want to just kind of go there and play it safe. Yeah, I didn't want to play it safe. That's not my game, that's not my styles.
You must have been very aware that while you were forging ahead and having an incredible time riding the wave, some of your mates that you'd spent a lot of time with, presumably from quite a young age, were not.
The truth of the academy system is I learned that from the age of 6. These things happen. You get your first contract when you're 8, 9. So for the first 2 years, you're kind of just battling it out to try and stay as relevant as possible. And then from that point on, it's year on year, you're fighting for a contract, and you see in 2, 3, 4, 5 lads get released and others come in, and then you've got to fight for your position, and it happens year after year. So it's something that you grow up knowing the reality of. It's not something that just happens at the age of 17, 18.
Let me ask you about the After Academy. Why did you want to do it, and how did this relationship with the PFA come about?
It's for the lads that I grew up playing with. They realised the dream's no longer going to happen for them. They had nowhere to turn to, didn't know what to do, didn't know how to go about anything. It made me realise that there's a problem with the system and the support that comes after when you drop out of an academy. And obviously the PFA do amazing work in that space as well, but as much work as possible that goes on, it's beneficial for everyone. So you know, to work with them and all the amazing support that they've given me and the ambitions that we've got for the future of it is really promising too.
What's the ethos?
To give opportunities, not just within football, but outside the world of football, in the real world. In a world where A-levels and degrees are deemed vitally important to get a job, it's very hard for us lads to make it in that kind of world. I think there's so much ask and demand from academies, and rightly so. You need to put in the time and the effort and the work to even give yourself a chance, and that comes with sacrifice. But if you're going to ask young people to do that, then you need to give them a plan B as well. And to think that there's not something already in place is somewhat embarrassing, if you ask me. The number of players that fall out of the academy system need something to fall back on, and need a safety net, need someone to talk to, and need other opportunities in the world.
It's not just Alexander-Arnold investing in the future of young players. Kyle Walker has done the same in Sheffield, launching the KW2 Academy earlier this year.
It's basically me giving back to the city that means so much to me. I feel that, you know, in academies and the clubs that I've been at, sometimes it is very hard to make it. It is very hard to make it. So for them to be able to fall back on this and give them a little bit of hope where, you know, it's a second chance kind of thing, I feel it's important because sometimes, you know, when you do get released, it's a little bit of a dark place. So if I can just put a programme on there that's going to, you know, support them both for the education and also the football side of it, and so if one player makes it, then I've done my job. Everyone would like to be a footballer. There's only a certain few of us that are lucky enough to go and be that now. Maybe one of my scholarship group where they signed 14 are actually playing anymore. I know Scott Bowden was probably the last one who was the lower leagues, but to sign 14 for none of us except myself to then go on and make it at a, you know, such a high level, it's incredible. But that's where, you know, you feel for players not just in my level, you know, whether that be League 2, League 1, you know, there has to be a fallback.
What was Sheffield United's academy like back then? What was your experience like?
It was a school of excellence, so we was training on park grasses and stuff like that. Then they, you know, built the academy, which was a massive step in the right direction, and I think it's proved to be, you know, a great success. The likes of, you know, myself, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Harry Maguire, Matthew Loughton, Ramsdale, that's all come through then. I feel that Man City, it's a different world altogether. You look at the talent that they're producing, you know, from Phil, Rico, Oscar, Cole has gone and done fantastic at Chelsea, so it's a good thing. It can't be a bad thing for these academies to keep producing, you know, good English talent.
If you are the elite and the very best that come through it, there's no doubt that you get the best in the world in terms of facilities and coaching and support. But there's a lot of lads that don't make it. Is there enough support for those guys, do you think?
Probably not, if I was to give an honest opinion. I feel that I was probably around about 13, 14 and I had enough. You know, I didn't want to do it anymore, and, you know, my mum and dad forced me. Obviously, if I could look now into the future and see what I've achieved, I'll go home straight away. But when your mum's ringing down your phone saying, Kyle, come on, get home, you've got to obviously play your game in the morning, to come away from that at such a young age, it's hard. But I think just in a world of football, no one really gets it until you're actually in it. You kind of just learn on the job.
To have that taken away from you if you don't make the grade at the end, on your mental health and in terms of the pressure on these kids, it's huge, isn't it?
You know, I've seen a lot of players at all of the clubs that I've been at where you think, OK, he's actually a good player, and they don't make it for one reason or another. But that's life. That's life. You know, things aren't just handed to you on a plate. I think you have to fight for them, and it's probably only the tough that survive, really.
Some players come all the way through the system with the same club, and that can make their first team breakthrough even more special. In all of this journey, when did you think, this is me, this is what I want to be, I want to be a Chelsea player, this is the only thing I want to do?
I managed to get offered a contract on my 9th birthday, which I signed. And then from then, it's been Chelsea Academy, that's all I've known. I didn't know anything else, I didn't really think about it too much. I didn't know where it could lead, I was just playing football. And I think that's what helped me reach the levels where I did at that age, or be as good as I could have been, because I was just not focused on anything else. There was no pressures. My family didn't put none of that on me. They allowed me just to be myself, and I loved it. The main reason I want to be a footballer is to reward them and to give them the best life.
the players that the academy has produced at Chelsea is quite extraordinary. But you're getting to mix and see and follow in the footsteps of legends like that. You don't get bigger motivation than that, do you?
Nah, definitely not. Being an academy player, that's what you want to be. You want to be just like them and the legends that have been there, and you want to try and achieve everything they've achieved. So being able to know, like, you're so close from them, considering you're over the road, but then yet so far. If you're outside of the bubble, I don't think you really understand, but coming here as an academy player is the best thing. Once you do cross over to come train here or something like that, it's a crazy experience.
Is everything world-class inside the setup?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's the best of the best. And I think the main thing that helped me achieve so much in the academy was the best players are always coming in to take your spots. No matter who you are, there's going to be a new player which comes in, maybe might be older than you, younger than you, your age, and he's coming to play. In yourself, you've got to kind of have that fight in you to say, this is my spot. I think that's what helped me so much. I can never rest because I've always had 2 or 3 players that wanted to play, just like me. So sometimes I was in a position where, you know, I might not have been playing, and they give you that chance to work hard and to prove yourself to get back in the team. And I think my academy career was not easy. I was never the best player, but I always had to fight, and I feel like that's what's made me the player I am today and also the person, because I never give up now. I can't give up just because they've taught me that in the academy. I think that's why the players that come out, like the Reeses, the Connors, like Mace, they all drive to be the best. And that's what the academies are for, really, to obviously improve players, but to also make them ready for the real world, the real football world.
You know, when you were 9, how many of that cohort are you still in contact with? How many of them went on to make it? Or let's be fair, maybe 14, 15, when it was a bit later down the road.
Yeah, there's a few of them. Manda Broja, he was a year above me, but obviously he's doing well. Tino Livermento is flying. You got Lewis Bate, Miles Pat Harris. So yeah, I got a load of close mates that have been doing well. Jamal Musiala, best in the world for his age, easy. The age group we had was a very special age group. And I always argue with Conor Gallagher saying that my age group was better than his. So we get it going, but we all helped each other so much.
At what point did you think you'd made it?
Still don't.
Really?
No.
That's extraordinary, Levi.
Anything
You're a Chelsea first-team player. You're an England senior international. You're 21 years old.
Yeah, but...
And you still don't think you've made it?
Anything can happen in football. Like, there's been stranger things that have happened, so you just got to keep working hard and pushing yourself. Maybe when I was about 16, I realised, like, I do have the chance. Before that, like, from 14 to 16, I'd say I had, like, confidence issues where I struggled in the academy. And then from 16, it's kind of I realised I found myself. I realised how my body works. And from then I realised, like, I could be something here if I wanted, or if I put everything into it. And then that's when my confidence grew. And then from there, I think it just went up.
Those loan spells that you had, Huddersfield and Brighton, how important was that, do you think, for your development?
Perfect. I don't think it could have gone any better. I wanted to challenge myself because I believed in myself to go to the champ. You get the culture and the environment and, like, the change room, you realise, wow, this is an amazing place. Living far away from home, it's like I needed to grow up fast.
When you started seeing your name as the first on the team sheet at Brighton in the Premier League, that must have been quite a moment for you.
That first period where I wasn't playing was a challenge, you know, because you're on loan. You don't know if you're ever going to get in because, you know, they got their players there that they might want to play. I got a chance, I took it, and then, yeah, to see my name on this team sheet most weeks was obviously an amazing feeling.
I wonder what you'd say to your 9-year-old self walking through the Cobham gates for the first time.
Just enjoy it and work hard, and don't let anyone tell you what you can and can't do.
Making it to the top doesn't always mean starting at the top. The EFL plays a critical role in developing players too. 19 of England's 26-man squad at Euro 2024 have played below the top flight. 10 of those players were contracted to EFL clubs when making their debut. And the man who scored that goal against the Netherlands in the semi-final started at the very bottom at Exeter City in League Two.
I remember when I first went on trial at under 9, I just couldn't concentrate. There'd be, like, games going on and I'd be looking over there. I just went off and played club football for a while, went back at under 11s, under 12s, and yeah, I had a lot of ups and downs. There was times where I was 16, you know, when you want to go out and stuff like that, and that's when you truly have to make sacrifices that I found it really difficult. Once I got my feet on the ground and worked hard, then yeah, the journey through the youth team was much easier.
spent time on loan at Weston-super-Mare. Did the progression from there always seem straightforward?
I always take things, day by day and not look too far ahead. So I was just focusing on progressing and just trying to cement myself in the first team because I didn't see myself as a first-team player then. Yeah, I was just trying to focus on playing, a lot of games and improving and then see where that took me.
And then the moves came, of course, Brentford first and then Aston Villa.
I can remember Brentford, they wanted me the season before, but they said I'd be going into the B team and I didn't want to do that, so I played another full season, got another 30, 40 games under my belt, and then went to Brentford and I felt like I was in a much better position. It worked out really well. I think just appreciating the little things is what's helped me. If you can score goals, and you can score goals in any league, and then I think, just keep working hard and just believing in yourself, because if you have that belief, then that's the most important thing. And football changes so quickly, so you need that little bit of luck, but if you work hard, then there's no way that you can't succeed, and you may get that little break that can get you a move, and it goes on from there.
Loan moves down the pyramid can be crucial for the development of academy players. Look at Harry Kane and his journey to becoming England's record goalscorer. And so many of the top players follow the same path.
Them loan moves weren't to get you out the building for no reason, to get you away from the place. They were to become a Premier League goalkeeper. If you can get out on loan and play the men's game, you'll learn a lot more about yourself, the toughness of it, that winning mentality as well. I learned so much from my first move to Dalton to my last loan move at Preston.
The loans have been phenomenal, from obviously non-league all the way through the leagues, League Two, League One, Championship, and then into the Premier League. So I've sort of played every level of football, and it's all different. The pyramid's different, the league's different.
I felt like I needed to play. I needed a first-team exposure. I know I was young, I was only 18, but I definitely needed it. I think when you're young, it doesn't matter, I suppose, what level you play at or what team as such, as long as you're getting games and minutes in and they help you kick on and go to the next level, and that's what I did. And not everything went perfect, but that's the whole part of it. That's the whole point.
It's always difficult, probably as a young goalkeeper, the expectation on you coming from Man United. Even though you're young, people just think you can come into the team and you're Superman, but that's not the case. In my Scunthorpe loan, I tasted a bit of everything. I was playing, I made mistakes, got injured, was on the bench. Preston, we ended up at Wembley. Villa, lost the playoff final. It just all add up.
You learn the game management side of it, that winning factor, seeing games out, chasing games. You learn a lot about yourself. Them learning keys are massive. I think it's the best pathway, no matter where you start. If you go Conference North, just getting the games under the belt and just raising your profile. For that opportunity, I would definitely get away from your main club and go and get the experience in the low levels.
This is the real deal. Like, you step out your comfort zone, you've never experienced it before, but you have to take that in your stride. That's why you play football, that's the pressure that comes with it, and that allowed me to be the person I am now.
You have to mature, you have to grow up. There's points on the line, there's money on the line to get wins, and it is a completely different world, to be honest, to what I was used to at Man United.
I was really successful at Shrewsbury and Sheffield United. Also, I'm very conscious at Stockport, my first loan, when I had a nightmare and I was terrible. That was a massive learning curve for me. If you back yourself and you know you're going to get there, go out and prove it, and then you'll come back to the Premier League club.
The pathway to the top is not always straightforward. Tyrone Mings might be an England international, but he learned the hard way.
I joined Southampton Academy at the age of 8, right up until 15, 16. Got released.
How did you feel personally when you were released? Psychologically, did it affect you?
I think it probably hit my parents harder than it hit me. And my parents were never, and still are never, pushy parents. As a parent, you want to see your child fulfill their dreams and be happy, don't you? So I think I was physically weak. Mentally, I think I've always been quite strong. So I never begrudged them the decision that they made, and I never think that they made a mistake. My mum wrote to every club in every 72 clubs in the Football League. You might have got a letter at the time, I don't know. And as mums do. So that was my next step. That was try and get a trial at another club. I went on trial at 5 or 6 different Football League clubs.
And tell us about your education.
Being at Milford was amazing, if I'm honest. I got quite a big mixture of a football scholarship and a bursary. It put me in some really uncomfortable situations in terms of my family didn't have much money growing up, but the wealth at the school made you, you had to find something else to make you cool. And I always had football. The sports and football scholarship program was really comprehensive. So we were training 4 or 5 times a week, playing once or twice a week.
But still doing your education
Still
alongside
doing the education, yeah.
How
Yeah.
important was that?
It was great. It was amazing. And I probably got a better education than if I would have been just at a football club. So I left school and worked at a pub first, done a bit of labouring, realised that wasn't for me. I worked a little bit in field sales, and then I went to become a mortgage advisor. Went to Yate, kind of by chance. I was playing in a charity game with my dad, and the Yate manager seen me at the time. And that was probably my best footballing experience, if I'm honest, in terms of preparing me for what was next.
Men's football.
Yeah, and I was 18 at the time, and I was playing left back. I had no idea what was going on. Shirts didn't fit, shorts didn't fit. Playing against seasoned professionals, it taught me a lot about looking after yourself. And I was there for just over a year before I moved to Chippenham. Fantastic memories of non-league football.
How different is that experience compared to academy football?
I think the best example of that is probably my trial game at Ipswich when Mick McCarthy was manager. It was a Monday, so the lads that didn't play on the Saturday played in the game.
Yeah.
And I rocked up with my Chippenham Town kit bag. Must be thinking, who on earth is this? My mentality and the fact that I didn't really care who I was playing alongside, I could hold my own in men's football, probably was a deciding factor between him signing me and not signing me. It all happened so quickly. It happened within the space of about 2 days. I went from being a mortgage advisor to training with the first team at Ipswich. It was a bit of a whirlwind, if I'm honest, the first 2 years of being a professional footballer. But that's probably where Mick McCarthy and Terry Connor and the influences...
Would you class them as mentors?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Probably some of the best that I've had in the game. So many good people within football clubs. There are so many people that you can take influences from. It doesn't necessarily have to be the manager.
What advice would you give to youngsters?
It's a fine balance between being relentless and kind of having that laser focus that some people need to be successful in football, and also having a backup plan. You don't want to be doing 2 things at once, but you certainly need to have one eye on what if this doesn't work out. The best piece of advice I would give, and I have an academy that kind of tries to encourage this, is certainly to keep it fun for as long as possible. I think sometimes the pressures of academies, if you're not enjoying it, is a really tough place to be. And if you love what you do, of course, you'll be able to get through the tougher times.
There's often opportunities opening up outside English academies too. Jadon Sancho paved the way at Borussia Dortmund, and Jamie Gittins has followed in his footsteps after leaving Man City at 16.
At the time, I was a bit surprised that they wanted me, because I was thinking about going into the City 18s, the Skoda program. But when Dortmund came, said they wanted me, I couldn't say no. I felt like it was for me to have a new experience in football, test my abilities abroad. I got inspired from the likes of Jadon and Jude coming to Dortmund, obviously, and them doing their thing. And so far, it's been a good step for me. I think it's a good opportunity for young kids to try. You're out of your comfort zone. I just took into consideration that the fact that my family was also in England when I came. They stayed in England. So for me, it was quite hard. That was a tough time that I had to get used to. Living alone in my own apartment, also tough, quite lonely, but it makes you mature and you grow up quickly in the world. It's a new language, new food, and you learn different styles of football compared to England in academy football sometimes. I felt like in under-19s football in Germany, it was in a way more competitive. The game was much more high tempo, more running. In England academies, it can be a bit passive at times. Yeah, it's just different style of play, and I really enjoyed it in under-19s. If you believe in yourself that you can do it abroad, just try it, and most of the time it should work out if you really believe in yourself.
The man at the FA who was responsible for finding and appointing Thomas Tuchel as the new England manager knows just how important academy football is in this country. What's the aim here? Do you want to see more English qualified players playing in the Premier League?
Yeah, of course I would, but I also think, you know, there's a balance that we've got to find, and Premier League is the toughest, most difficult league in the world. So it's finding that fine line of having the world's best. It being really, really difficult to get into there. I get it. I get there's the yin and the yang. Is there maybe less players exposed to the Premier League than we like? Yes, but the set to that is quality that they're playing in is incredibly high. I think what we've seen as well recently is, and whether it's with Harry, with Jude, players going abroad as well, that's going to be interesting. I wonder if that's going to be a trend.
Lee Carsey's told us that the system has been great for producing better all-round footballers. Is that something that's changed recently?
I think the game becoming more tactical at seniors, and that percolates down. Sometimes when we've been working with the younger players recently, the sexy position is, or can I be the false nine, or can I be in the inverted winger? I think that's the trends that we go through all of the time, but players are becoming more multifunctional. I think the way the game is being played, I think the pictures, what players are seeing on the television and what academies are doing as well is really positive in providing more technical players and more tactically adept players. The one thing I've learned from going around the world is that different systems are required for different environments. You can win the World Cup in a South American way, you can win it in a Spanish way, you can win it in a German way, you can win it in an Italian way. We're going to win it in an English way. When you go, there's all different nuances. Sometimes you've got to make sure that the system is fit for purpose for English football. It's fit for purpose for 92 clubs. I think this system is better than it has been before in this country, and I think we're definitely world leading. I think people will look with envy at what we've got.